Brad Gastwirth, Chief Technology Strategist at Wedbush Securities, joining us all the way from New York. Hi, Brad. Pleasure to have you here on India Tonight. My first question to you is, you're seeing big lawsuits now against the big tech, right? You've already got one against Google. Now it's Facebook's turn to face this kind of a lawsuit for unwinding acquisitions that are now over a decade old. What's of course interesting is the founders of WhatsApp as well as Instagram have left the Facebook group. But the more chilling statement seems to be that nothing is ever final, even after signing on the dotted line, even when you have a combined entity for more than 10 years? Or is this basically an AT&T type model where you're broken up simply for being monopolistic?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And quite honestly, this was very much expected. I think everybody in the investment community expected a government lawsuit, which is what we got. Now, will this actually be upheld, and will Facebook be forced to divest WhatsApp and Instagram? First of all, this is going to take many, many years. We don't think it's very likely at all that the government will succeed in breaking up the company. But this is not something that would be settled in months. This is years and years of litigation, and I don't see this ever really falling in the government's way.
Right. Brad, you're saying this is going to take a very long time and you don't see these developments really happening in fast. But during that time, there's of course going to be a lot of uncertainty for Facebook, for the business. In fact, Facebook has also hit back, calling the complaints revisionist history. In terms of business sentiment, what should be the takeaway for big businesses from a development like this?
No, it's a good question, and I think when you start questioning acquisitions that were approved very long time ago, you certainly can make that argument. I do think there's many reasons why this likely does not get enforced over the years. I don't think this is really going to shy away from big businesses making acquisitions. I think maybe executives will pay closer attention to how they maybe word things internally, but you're going to see many acquisitions, many mergers throughout the years to come, certainly across technology.
Brad, the other question is that the president-elect Joe Biden and the Democrats together have all been very vocal about the need to break up big tech. They've been very vocal about Section 230, which protects the likes of Facebook, Twitter, all of them, also from ever facing libel suits. You've also got that big Google lawsuit. We have a lot of lessons from the Microsoft lawsuit from over 2 decades ago. But the question, Brad, is that in the next couple of years, are you expecting a lot of regulatory issues that big tech is just going to be so busy dealing with, whether it's from being broken up or losing Section 230 and all of that?
Yeah, and it's such a good question, and I think it's the right question and the right topic. And absolutely, we've been writing about this, that we certainly expect, especially under a new Democratic administration, to have more of an offensive against these large cap technology companies. I do not see this slowing down. I continue to expect to see more lawsuits over the next several months, targeting these largest technology companies in the U.S. And this should not be a surprise for the investment community. You've had several congressional hearings on many of these topics. And again, I think this is widely expected, but the onus is really on the government to prove. And I think it's just very difficult to prove many of the allegations, especially when you look at antitrust. Have these companies really made it worse for the consumer? And I would argue that in many cases, they made it better for the consumer.
Oh, absolutely. absolutely right. I mean, it has made things easier for consumers. Life, we can't really imagine what would life would have been without a Google or a Facebook. Having said that, at this point of time, Brad, if you see, the big technology companies have too much power, they have too much dominance. If the government were to go ahead, if the FTC were to get all the necessary go-aheads, how will this breakup really happen? In practice, what would we really see Facebook becoming if things were to go this way?
Yeah, I mean, these are excellent questions. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of if scenarios. We wholeheartedly believe this is very, very, very unlikely to ever take place. But let's just say it did. You would see these assets and these entities being separated from Facebook and acting autonomously, acting by themselves and run by themselves. What does that mean for Facebook? I mean, Facebook still is a tremendous social platform and would still have one of the largest outreaches out of any social platform on the planet. However, they would likely, if this was to go the government's way, these entities would be removed and they would be separated and would be separate businesses. Again, the likelihood of this taking place is very, very low. I would say less than 1%.
Less than 1% chance of any of this going through, but clearly there's going to be a lot of litigation, lawsuits, regulatory blips coming in the way of big tech. Thanks a lot, Brad, for joining us here live on this edition of India Tonight. Appreciate getting your insights.